This is the second video in the stoichiometry series, grams to grams. So let's bring up our slide, grab ourselves a pen, and get started. First thing you always want to do is balance a chemical equation. And again, I just assume you know how to do this, but as a quick review, let's write the equation for this reaction. We've got lithium nitrate reacting with calcium sulfate, and that is going to form lithium sulfate and calcium nitrate. We're going to go through and balance this. Two nitrates, two lithiums, one calcium, and the sulfates. So that balances. So again, the law of conservation of mass is represented in the balanced equation. The law says that whatever we start with in terms of reactants, we have to have that in terms of products. So, say for example we had 10 grams total reactants. When everything is said and done, we have to have 10 grams of products. That should make sense because each element has a mass. We know that lithium is 7, nitrogen is 14, oxygen is 16. So to keep the masses balanced on the reactants and products side, we've got to make sure we have the same number of atoms on each side of the reaction. So if we have two lithiums on this side, each weighing 7 grams per mole, we have to have two lithiums on that side. So we balance our chemical equations to make sure we have the same number of atoms, but that is also to satisfy the law of conservation of mass. Okay, so let's take a look at some problems here. In the previous vodcast, we wrote the reactions and then we converted using moles. Well, now what we're going to do is take it one step further and we're going to convert using grams. So the problem says if you've got 6.7 grams of calcium sulfate. So first of all, I'm going to write my 6.7 grams there. It says how many grams of aluminum sulfate will be formed. So what you're going to see is I'll write my grams there. In other words, this is what I'm starting with, and this is what I'm trying to find. So essentially I'm trying to go from this to that, but we're doing this in terms of grams. Now remember, in the chemical equation, our coefficients are going to represent moles. So what we want to do is get our unit to moles, do the mole conversion, and then convert back to grams. So let's start with the given, 6.7 grams calcium sulfate. So what we want to do is convert this to moles. So our first step in the process is going to be converting from grams to moles. To do that, we're going to use the molar mass. So let's add up the molar mass of calcium sulfate. We have 40 plus 32 plus 4 times 16, which is going to give us 136 grams per mole of calcium sulfate. Now I know writing out these units and formulas might seem like a lot of work, but trust me, in the long run, the more you write with the units, the more organized your problem is going to be. Okay, so our grams are going to cancel, and what we have now are moles of calcium sulfate. Well, now we can use that mole ratio to go from the moles of calcium sulfate to moles of aluminum sulfate, and that's what we're looking for. So let's do another conversion. Since we have moles of calcium sulfate in the numerator, we're going to put that in the denominator. And then we're trying to convert 2 moles of aluminum sulfate. The numbers that go with the conversion are the numbers from the balanced equation. So we're going to put a 3 in front of our calcium sulfate and a 1 in front of our aluminum sulfate. That way those moles will cancel, and now we have moles of aluminum sulfate. Let me finish my line there. And now we want to convert moles of aluminum sulfate to grams. So let's put moles aluminum sulfate in the denominator, and we want to convert to grams of aluminum. Should have left myself a little bit more room here. Let's squeeze it in there. All right, so let's add up the molar mass of aluminum sulfate. We have 2 times 27 plus 3 times 32 plus 12 times 16 is going to give us a molar mass of 342 grams per mole. Again, that formula there is supposed to be Al2SO4 3. So if you add up the molar mass there, you get 342. And remember, that's grams per mole. So now our moles cancel, and we're left with grams, which is what the problem is asking for. So now let's do the math. We've got 6.7 divided by 136 divided by 3 times 342 gives us 5.6 grams of our aluminum sulfate. Alright, let's take a look at the next one. Again, start with the given 3.7 grams calcium sulfate. And now what we want to do is go from calcium sulfate to grams of aluminum nitrate. So now we're going from calcium sulfate to, aluminum nitrate. So we're going from here to here. So since we're starting with grams, again, we always want to convert to moles because we can use the mole ratio from the reaction to get moles of aluminum nitrate, which we can then convert to grams. So you're always thinking grams to moles to moles, and then moles to grams. So let's do that. We've got grams in the denominator of calcium sulfate, and we calculated that molar mass as 136 grams per mole. And again, I want to emphasize grams from the periodic table per mole. So that will cancel, or I should say our grams will cancel. Now we have moles of calcium sulfate. So we're going to put that in the denominator. And this is what I mean by when you write the units out, it kind of tells you where to put the numbers, which will help you solve the problem. So we're going from calcium sulfate to aluminum nitrate. So let's put our formula there. NO3, 3. The numbers from the equation, 3 goes with calcium sulfate, 2 goes with aluminum nitrate. So that means our moles will cancel. Now we have moles of aluminum nitrate, but we want grams. So let's do one more conversion, and we're going to convert moles of aluminum nitrate to grams of aluminum nitrate. I think I need to leave some more room. So let's calculate the molar mass of aluminum nitrate. 1 mole, grams would be 27 plus 3 times 14 plus 9 times 16 would give us 213 grams. So our moles cancel and we're left with grams. Do the math. 3.7 divided by 136 times 2 divided by 3 times 213 gives us 3.86 grams of our aluminum nitrate. Alright, let's take a look at one more slide, do a couple more problems, and call it a day. Okay, so we have our equation, and let's start with the given. I'm going to try to write this in here a little better. We've got 0.79 grams calcium sulfate. In fact, let me try a little bit thinner of a pen. So again, we want to go from grams of calcium sulfate, and we want to find grams of calcium nitrate. So let's convert to moles first. Grams calcium sulfate to moles calcium sulfate. 1 mole, let's add up our molar mass. 40 plus 32 plus 4 times 16 gives us 136 again. Cancel the grams. Now we have moles of calcium sulfate. So the next step is to do the mole ratio from that to that. So we have 3 moles calcium sulfate for every 3 moles calcium nitrate. So again, moles cancel. We have moles of calcium nitrate, so let's convert that to grams. Put our moles in the denominator. We're going to have grams of calcium nitrate. 1 mole. Add up our grams, 40 plus 2 times 14 plus 6 times 16 gives us 164 grams. So our moles cancel. We have grams. Go back and do the math. 0.79 divided by 136 times 3 divided by 3 times 164 gives us 0.95 grams of our calcium nitrate. Let's do another one, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. This is how you would eventually want to get to do these problems. We're going to start with 34.3 grams calcium nitrate, and I'm going to go from calcium nitrate to aluminum sulfate, so I'm going from that to that, 3 to 1 ratio. So add up my molar mass of calcium nitrate, which I believe we did over here as 164 grams calcium nitrate per mole calcium nitrate. Do the mole ratio. 3 moles calcium nitrate. That's on the bottom. And we are going to aluminum sulfate, so we're going to there. So we have 1 mole aluminum, getting a little sloppy, sulfate, grams cancel, moles cancel. We have moles of aluminum sulfate. Let's convert that to grams. 1 mole aluminum sulfate in terms of grams, and I can't squeeze that in there, so I'll just write do the calculation. 2 times 27 plus, here, let me write this formula so this is a little better. We have Al2 SO4 3. So we have 2 times 27 plus 3 times 32 plus 12 times 16, which gives us 342 grams. Do the math. 34.3 divided by 164 times 1 divided by 3 times 342, and that's going to give us 23.8 grams. So again, what you can see is whatever unit we're starting with, usually, well, in these problems it's been grams, you always want to convert to moles. Once you have it in moles, you can use the mole ratio from the balanced equation to get moles of what you're looking for, and then you can convert back to grams. So again, you're always looking for that moles, so you can go moles to moles in the equation, and then moles to whatever it is you're looking for. And in this vodcast it was grams, but it could just as easily be liters, it could be molecules, and it could be atoms if we're talking about a single atom. The next vodcast that we do, we'll take a look at mixed problems. As usual, if you have any questions, send them to Tom Hannanen at hannanenchemistry@gmail.com.